What was that? What? What's that sound? Where? It's aliens and they're living in your town. Damn. They have arrived. What? They're all around. So many aliens living in your town. Are you scared of
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Weird and Whatever podcast. Let's do roll call. Producer Denny's, are you here?
Present.
All right, Mr. Beckett.
Here, ready to rock.
Vicky, are you here? Vicky. Aw, Vicky. Yeah, Vicky had a family emergency. She's not going to be with us for the Weird and Whatever podcast this week. Vicky, we are sending positive vibes out to you. We love you. We hope everything's okay.
Yep.
How are you guys doing? Let's get into it.
Doing great. Feeling good, nice and early today on the podcast.
Oh, man, I love doing them early.
This is when I'm most awake. You know,
Yes.
like noontime is like when I flourish, when I bud.
Oh, this is when Denny's hyped.
Yep, because you guys are up at like 3:30 in the morning, right?
Yeah, I was telling my dad the other day, if I sleep in till 4, I'm screwed, man. I gotta start waking up at 3:30. I have to.
I agree.
Yeah.
If you sleep in an extra 10 minutes, I've snoozed for 10 minutes, and it really throws off your entire day.
It gives you anxiety in the beginning, and when you sleep in or you hit the snooze like 10 or 15 minutes, retrospectively, it's always never worth it. You know, because then you like rush, you don't really like, do your routine as well as you should, or you don't get breakfast out the door.
Yeah, I was listening to one of those TED Talks, and the woman that was giving the lecture, she said, when you are waking up and you don't want to wake up and you want to hit that snooze button or whatever your routine is about staying in bed, she said, try to get into this practice as soon as you wake up. Just have this voice scream in your head and say, I'm springing out of bed right now and it's going to suck, but in 5 minutes it's going to be great.
Yeah, no, I think I actually saw that. TED Talks are phenomenal, by the way. But I think I saw that same TED Talk. What I do is I put my alarm on the other side of the room. So
you have to get up.
You have to get up.
Yeah.
As soon as you get up, you're done.
Yeah, I used to use that tactic too. I used to have 2 alarms, one on my bed that went off an hour before I had to get up, so I knew that in 1 hour I had to get up, and the other one was across the room.
Yeah, there you go.
So you had to get up to actually go do it.
So anything weird happened to you guys over the week? That would qualify as Weird and Whatever material.
I was going to ask about all the weird glitter all over you.
Yeah. I do so much weird shit for work. I always forget that I even have glitter. Yeah, I've got glitter on my face and on my ass. There's the glitter ass trend that's going on.
Glitter butt. Yeah. If you do hashtag glitter butt, you'll see a bunch of bird pop
That's amazing.
It's I don't know if it's amazing, but because we've been doing so many crunches, I have a raspberry on my ass. And the poor girl that had to put all the glitter on, she had to put it on a cut. Like
oh my God.
Wound. I feel so bad for her.
I've gotten that before though too, because you know how when you do sit-ups, like your butt kind of spreads at the top. It's that spot right there, man. It doesn't get much friction, so if it gets any, it's like wearing thong sandals.
I was like, wow, Denny's, your voice is booming today, but it was just when Beckett laughed. It spiked. I can see it. I love it. That's so funny. You can literally see your laugh on the audio file.
Oh, yeah, it looks like a shark fin.
By the way, I'm a big fan of your laugh. Don't ever change it. And you laugh right in that microphone.
All right.
That's your weird quirk. What's your weirdest quirk, would you say?
That I'm allowed to say on air?
Yeah, absolutely. If someone said, what is the weirdest part of your personality? Because I have a belief everybody is weird. People don't want to admit it.
I would say my weirdest thing is that I'm a sapiosexual. Have you heard of what that is?
I've never heard.
So it's by definition, it means that you're turned on by intelligence, and it's true. Like I actually find myself sexually more stimulated by someone that I can have, like a girl that I'm dating, for example, that I have like an intellectual conversation, way more than some girl that's a 12 out of 10.
Denny, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I've heard the term. I see what you're saying. Like that is something that does it for you.
Is that? Yeah. I don't think that's weird though. Oh, you got turned on by smart girls. That's not weird.
Yeah. That's true.
What's a weird quirk about you where you're just like, oh man, that's a little odd? Because I know I've got mine. Denny's, do you have yours? You can think about it for a second. Beckett's too perfect.
One thing I always get called on, I mean, pretty much on the daily, is that I drink liquid at room temperature always. Like, I won't drink cold shit ever. I don't even like hot shit either. I like to wait till everything is room temperature.
Like at Luke, huh?
Yeah, I prefer things at room temps.
Again, I don't know if that's all that weird.
Bird, you're so weird. What's your weird thing?
Okay, if I can't sleep sometimes, I will smack my ankle over and over and over again on a hard ground because the pain of it in my foot or whatever I'm hitting, it makes me tired, and then I can go to sleep.
That's not weird.
That's
Dude,
weird.
We need something weird, Bird. Yeah, but that's not weird, Bird. Tell us a little more. Like, what's something? I'm just kidding. That is pretty weird.
That's pretty weird,
That's
right?
pretty weird.
So I said that on the KVJ show, and someone said, "Jason, you're doing self-harm." It's not because I'm doing it because it literally, the whole process of it makes me mentally tired and physically tired. Look,
I could understand that.
I don't know if it's the right thing to do. I'm just being honest. That's what happens sometimes. It's a weird quirk.
Yeah, no, I'm sure we all have like a bunch of weird quirks.
Okay, weird quirk. Someone knocks on your door, you get anxiety and you want to hide. Is that a weird quirk?
Yeah, that's probably not typical. But I mean, nowadays, yeah. Well, back in the day, I don't think that was typical. I felt like when people used to knock at the door, there was no, cell phones at the time. But nowadays, yeah, if anyone knocks, I don't want to answer. But it's not from childhood. It's from
it's weird because people can easily be like, hey, I'm going to stop by or I'm in the neighborhood. They can announce themselves a lot easier. Where before, like, you left someone a message on their office line.
Yeah.
And, like,
you hope they got it.
You hope that they got it. And, you got to send them a fax or something. And you're like, hey, I'm going to knock on so-and-so.
So there's a new trend going on where just cold calling somebody, and it could even be a friend, just cold calling without letting them know you're going to call them is now considered annoying and offensive, and you got to let people know. I think if that's what you're coming with in this world, you're stuck up.
Yeah,
I think you're stuck up. If you honestly can't accept somebody calling you, get over yourself.
Yeah, I always screen calls. I mean, it takes up so much time, and like I always get, I'm a bad hanger-upper. If it's like some like BS marketing call. Like, I try to bow out gracefully from that call, and I get into that rat trap, So I just, your time's one of your most valuable asset for most people. And if you just keep on answering these phone calls that would just like, people trying to sell you something or know your vote on something or whatever, it's such a waste of time.
I mean, I'm talking about family and friends. I should be able to call Beckett anytime I want to because we're friends.
Totally.
We're acquaintances. I shouldn't have to text you, but now there's this new thing. Oh, you're going to let me...
You shouldn't have to take offense to it.
No.
I have one buddy, and he's half joking, half serious. Like, when I call him, he answers the phone. He goes, "Why are you calling me on my social media device?"
Yeah. That's kind of his leg. Remember calling like girls back in the day, like, and you like, I hope they got the message, and you're afraid like maybe their brother answered and deleted it.
I used to dread calling my girlfriend's house and having their parents answer.
Oh, it's the worst.
I would hate it. When I was younger, I was so nervous in front of parents, and I just could not get my shit together. I'd stutter like a stuttering prick. It was terrible.
I was always really good with parents, but I used to get really nervous. I still kind of do, but I was really shy with girls. I remember before I would make a phone call, especially if I'm just getting to know the girl, I would like write down notes on a notepad of like things that I was going to bring
topic
up.
Points.
It's like it's like getting ready for a radio show.
Beckett's game was weak.
It still is. I always joke around it. It's like my game is kind of like my jokes or my dancing in that it's so bad. I think that sometimes it works.
Plus you're a good-looking guy. That doesn't hurt.
And you can sell anything. I mean, as long as you like truly commit to it and believe it. I mean, I feel like you can get away with anything.
Yeah.
I mean, barring obviously
look
murder.
at our president. Yeah, like you can like. You sell it a certain way and people buy into it.
You can send those emails to Ryan Beckett. What's your email?
At Bucket List. Beckett List.
Did you hated talking to girls' parents back in the day?
Yeah, so I think there's a lot of awkward things that we had to go through as a generation that the newer kids don't have to go through. And I think people hate awkwardness so much now that they're trying every possible way to not have awkwardness. So like, that like saying etiquette, send a text before this, do this before this. There's all these rules now, but like back in the day, you just get awkward and then move on from it.
Right.
We talk about technology a lot on this show, and I guess we do on the KVJ show as well. And like anything, there's great stuff that comes with it. There's bad stuff that comes with it. A lot of people think I'm so against all technology, and I'm not. I just, in my heart, feel like, especially social media, I mean, you can really blame it all on the internet, but social media has changed how everything is done now.
It's changed everything.
It's
in fact,
changed
all the rules have to be rewritten now. It just doesn't work in the format it was before.
Well, you had a great point when you were talking. Me and you were having a little heart-to-heart, and you're saying, look, all of these laws are that are in real life, not social media. That's one set of rules. Social media has to catch up to that stuff, and it's not, because it's been the wild, wild west.
There's new rules being written every time they pass a bill to regulate some of the things going on social media. There was no, so it always blew my mind that television was censored, radio was censored, movies were censored. Everything had a rating system, video games, everything. You had to be a certain age in order to see a certain thing, and then everybody has access to the internet. And now, I mean, even iPods, kids have access to the internet at such a young age.
Right.
And that's the one thing that's not uncensored. The one thing you can get anywhere is not censored. It's insane.
Well, what was really eye-opening for me was my niece is younger than me by about 10 or 12, maybe even 15 years, I guess. And she was watching this thing on, it couldn't have been YouTube because it was so graphic. It was of a dead body. And you actually saw the video of the person getting killed. And I know when I was her age, if I was to see something like that, that would have shook me to the core, to the point where I would have thought about that for a month.
For sure.
I asked her, I go, what are you watching? I go, doesn't that stay with you? Her answer was, no, I'm just so used to it. I guess I'm kind of numb to it.
Yeah.
And that's such a...
It's interesting, and I've thought about that because I was going into medicine, and then I was like, I can't see a bone sticking out of a skin. I'll like pass out, you know? But I think these doctors and nurses, they see it so much that it becomes like kind of normal.
Commonplace.
And you could also make a case that we've maybe become, just to play devil's advocate, is that we've become too nerfed up. Because if you think about it, in caveman time or like Paleolithic days or even like the 1700s, like things like that, like people weren't insulated from death. I mean, people would die from getting the flu. People would die
from blinking.
If you crossed the wrong person, they would murder you in cold blood and then live the rest of their life normally.
And they would slaughter their own animals. Like I think we're kind of nerfed up now a little bit. Too.
Well,
absolutely,
you can walk across the street, shoot a woman dead. She's a witch. Okay, she's a witch. She deserves to die.
Yeah, exactly.
That was how shit was.
Absolutely. I think we now just want people to be accountable for their actions, which is what the one benefit of internet is.
Okay, Denny's, you are very in the techie world. The internet, the computers, all of it, technology, the way it's going, is it going to be beneficial for mankind, or I'm sorry, humankind, or whatever? What's the non-offensive word? People? Peoplekind. Are we going in the right direction, or do you think we are going to be our demise?
Well, I think with every great empire, you would become inevitably your own demise for sure. So I do think, yeah, with all this power, I mean, as with any powerful thing we get, there's always going to be a good and a bad to it.
But is it going to
hurt us more or help us more?
Is it going to hurt us more or help us more?
I think ultimately it will help us more, but I think there's going to be a lot of pain from it.
Totally. I agree with that.
I see what you're saying. You have to shed all of the pain and the bullshit. You have to go through all that.
Totally.
To get to the promised land, so to speak.
Absolutely.
And it's always relevant to give analogies of something that people understand. Like when the car was invented, it was a similar thing where like this is going to revolutionize how people can go to see family, can get rushed to the hospital, can go on vacation, can live in different places and afford housing in different places and then travel to work. But like Denny's point, having a car was going to come associated with drunk driving.
Yeah.
A lot of deaths on the road.
Just typical accidents.
And
emissions polluting the environment.
So a lot of unintended, unexpected consequences and like regulations and laws, like you were talking about earlier. When the Model T was invented, they were like, well, we got to do a 55 mile per hour speed limit on this road, and you gotta turn on a blinker and make a full stop and like do stuff like that. That wasn't even in their thought process.
That was all invented as bad things were happening.
Exactly.
To stop those bad things from happening.
Totally.
I actually had a hypothetical.
Bring it.
All right, so I wrote this up. I was just thinking about it the other day. So everything, you watch Black Mirror, you watch a lot of stuff is influenced.
Great show.
That is a great show. I really like Black Mirror. It almost feels like
makes you think a lot.
It makes you think a lot, and it's set kind of. I feel like it's set about 15 to 20 years from now.
I agree. It's just in the near distant future,
within
something
reach.
we could become.
Within reach, it's going to get that weird.
So I thought of this dilemma because I noticed a lot of shows, a lot of things are based around social media, based around how people are acting now, how people disagree with each other, and it's turning into these divisions and sects of different groups of people. And I was just thinking about that, like, is that a good thing or a bad thing? But then you think, with information, people will then probably branch off into different parts. I don't want to get too much into this. So my dilemma from this was, if internet was proven to cause global warming and inevitably cause the extinction of man. So internet, having servers, having the internet available to everybody the way it is right now, is proven that slowly, I mean, probably even quicker, that it is causing global warming, or it's causing some sort of heating up that is going to destroy our planet. And we learned that. Would a humankind be able to, or peoplekind be able to give it up?
Yeah, I was kidding when I said.
I was kidding. Would you be able to give it up? Like, the government says you have 1 year to get whatever you want off of the internet, but we are shutting it down permanently until we can find a new way to create the same thing. But all information is going to be lost. Like, would people be able to give it up, or do you think people would just continue to try to find ways to use internet?
I think it's the same thing with climate change right now, where like there's some people that will rationalize it and deny it because it's inconvenient for their lifestyles. There'll be people like, they're like, dude, like, this is our grandkids, like, this is like, and you'll have I think you'll have a very similar debate as to what we have now.
But could we survive? Like, what if internet was shut off tomorrow? Government made internet illegal, is not allowed to be, and we now have to live tomorrow starting no internet.
We'd have a major problem. I think people are so dependent on the internet, like we are with electricity, like we are with all the amenities.
Cars, everything.
Yeah, we're too spoiled to go back. I mean, now you're talking about, there's so much stuff connected to the internet that if you take that out, we are screwed. It's actually very frightening to realize how dependent we are on things like technology.
Well, that was the Y2K. That was like, that ended up not being a real thing.
But it could have been.
But they were like saying, like, if this theory turns out to be true, it's going to like, planes are going to fall out of the sky, you know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I just think you're going to have such calamity.
Well, think about what they used to do is your grandfather would pass on what he's learned in his life to his son. He would grow up and become your father, give birth to you, and pass on what he's learned to you as your son or daughter. And that's how word was spread. Things that were common that people should know to get through life, these things should be known, they're passed down.
Yeah.
Well, now we don't have that because everybody's like, I can just look it up. I can look it up anything I want at any point. If we lost that ability to look up stuff, what would happen tomorrow? Nobody would know how to do anything.
We have to go back to Dewey Decimal System. You know, like we have to go back to like old school library.
We talk about it all the time. Me and Denny's, we love playing guitar, and we're so spoiled. When you want to learn a song, all you do is type in how to play whatever, and the chords are there. The person's there showing you what to do.
Yeah.
They're showing you variations of how to do it. I mean, it's way better than a songbook.
The knowledge is amazing. I think I read a stat that every minute, like 10 hours worth of video is loaded onto YouTube. Every minute.
Well, just think about kids that have grown up with the internet their entire life. So all of a sudden, you're taking away what's been their whole life.
The cheat guide.
Think about when you were 9 or 10, 12 years old, someone taking away whatever it was that made you function.
Take away newspapers. You know, something like.
I think it's actually good. It's actually good temporarily. Like when I go on like a cruise or I'm in the air for 2 hours on a flight, there's something that is where I went to Africa in the fall and did that poaching thing for 2 weeks and I didn't really have service. There's something that's really stressful about it in the beginning. But then you realize that everything's going to be okay. And you almost have like you're more in the moment. At least this is my experience. I found I was more in the moment.
Oh, of course. I totally agree with what you're saying.
So there are some good things I think that come out of it.
Well, it's just a bummer that we only do it as like a vacation from social media. We technically taking vacations from talking to people that we talk to every day.
I predict that it'll be a new kind of vacation, a new genre that entrepreneurs will come up with, and maybe even a form of rehab where they have like people are addicted to the serotonin response of like, you know, the red dots,
the likes,
receiving likes and stuff like that, where people I actually read about that. There's a word for it. It's like an infomaniac. And I feel like I kind of got sucked into that role where you love consuming information, whether it's listening to the radio, listening to CNN, Googling stuff, like cat videos on YouTube, whether it's like joking, like ha ha ha, like just fun Kardashian stuff, or it's actually like intellectual TED Talks. You like to absorb information. You get addicted to that.
Well, that's a great point, because I think sometimes people can absorb information and not even realize what it's doing to their psyche. I think you can listen to a bunch of stuff in the morning, especially when you're, let's say you wake up, you're kind of groggy, you get up, first thing you do is either check your phone or put on a TV or something. You're getting information and you're not really fully there, but you're getting it in there.
Totally.
And let's say you're putting a lot of depressing stuff in your head and you don't even realize that you're doing that. It's very easy to turn on the TV, turn on the radio. I mean, even our KVJ show, 80% of it is about talking about how someone cheated on somebody, how somebody did somebody wrong. It's very negative. It's a negative viewpoint. Not to say we're always like that, but that's kind of what people...
They're attracted to.
They're attracted to that.
Totally.
And I think you got to be careful with putting a lot of negative shit in your head. I know for me, I am a man who mirrors his environment. So if you are going to be peaceful and that's the environment that you've created, I'm in that, I'm going to be of peaceful mind. If it's dysfunction and it's all this worry, I'm going to start to kind of mirror that. And I think that is something we do with the stuff we watch, whether it's technology, Facebook. I mean, people get so caught up in the drama of Facebook that it ruins their fucking week.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Their week is over because somebody made a comment on social media and they didn't mean a hill of beans.
Yeah.
And people move on from it. It ruins your world, and then 2 weeks later, no one's talking about it.
But if you don't think that shit stays with you, we're at a point now, you know, you always hear, oh, Twitter's not real life. Well, guess what? We're there. Twitter's real life now.
It's becoming it.
But people are going on Twitter, and people get people fired on Twitter. It's becoming real life.
We make nuclear policy now based on Twitter. Our leader does it. Whether, I mean, that could be a good thing or bad thing. I'm not saying one way or the other. I'm just saying, but that has been galvanized.
It's real life.
Yeah.
It's in our life now. It's not the cute little saying, well, it's just Facebook. It's just
Absolutely.
Twitter. Facebook's breaking up marriages.
Yeah. And that's why meditation, I think, is so important, because meditation is like one of the only ways, and I've brought this up before, and it's kind of an annoying saying that it's annoying because I believe it to be true and it affects me, is that the people that have the toughest time meditating are the people that stand to benefit from it the most. And it's so hard for me to do.
It bothers me so much. I mean, it doesn't bother me, but I want to, it's like I just don't like when people say, I don't have the mind to meditate. I just can't do it. That's everybody who tries to meditate. It takes commitment to be good at meditating. It takes... Once you get good, you're supposed to do it at least twice a day.
And it's a perishable skill. It's like building a muscle.
And it really is beneficial. It really is. I'm not trying to tell everyone to go out and meditate. But I'm a person that is always thinking, and I've always got shit on my brain, and I can think some crazy stuff. Meditation really brings it down a bit.
It does.
Yeah, it's great.
We got a lot of comments on people about the whole, can dogs see color or not?
Oh, man.
How do we know if dogs can see color? Well, I guess there is. Did you get those emails?
Yeah, so I guess the way the dog's eyes work, they have more rods. We have rods and cones. Those are what change depending whether you walk into a dark room or a light room to help you adjust and see in the light. And I guess just based on that, their colors, kind of like if you go deep sea diving, the further down you go, the less light there is, the less color there is. So I think they see something in that spectrum where the colors are kind of muted, but it looks like they're like in a black to yellow grayscale.
Yeah, this is what the one email said. This is from Kim. Hey guys, love the podcast. Just wanted to share an article with y'all about dogs seeing in some color. I've read a few dog books and they all confirm that dogs have vision on the color spectrum beyond black and white. It just means little to nothing to them. If you Google what colors do dogs see, they show you on the spectrum. It's pretty cool. And she goes on about that. And she says she likes the podcast. Thank you, Kim. It's good information.
Thanks, Kim.
I imagine red and yellow would be two things any animal would see just to protect them, because those are typically like colors of like, you know, poisonous things.
Interesting.
Someone also had an email about a topic we talked about last week. Jay Bird, love the podcast, but you guys never finished the list about how the world's going to end. Please let us know. Travis from Tampa.
Oh, yeah, you only read off like 2 of them.
I got off on a tangent. Just know, if you listen to the Weird and Whatever podcast, it may spawn a tangent or 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we talked a little bit about the asteroid impact as number 1, correct? Did we talk about the sun expanding?
Yes.
All right, a rogue black hole or a planet, a rogue planet. So what does that mean? Just a planet from out there?
Would that be a large enough asteroid? Not an asteroid, but a large enough planet that would somehow be like traveling?
I guess that's my question. Can a planet hit our planet like an asteroid?
I mean, I guess it could if it wasn't on any sort of gravitational pull. Yeah, I'd imagine it would drift, but it would have to be massive. It would have to be the same size as Earth.
Not to go on another tangent real quick, though. The more and more I read up about Mars, the more I'm convinced that there was life there at one point.
Really?
Yeah, I really do think so, man. I do. I think at one point, we're talking maybe even millions of years ago.
Yeah, but I mean, that's totally possible because,
Yeah.
I mean, the sun would be hotter then. You would imagine some of the other planets as well. Because, I mean, some planets, like Jupiter is going crazy out there.
Yeah, I won't bore you with all the Mars details, but just read up on some of the stuff, why people think there was life there. Fascinating.
And when you say life, like a little like...
Don't know. Have no idea.
Okay.
It could be
It might not even be humanoid. It could be just,
Bacteria.
vegetation, bacteria.
I personally think, and maybe I'm a dreamer, I think it's something more than like an amoeba type of thing. I think look, man, think about the entire universe out there.
Yeah.
It's very big.
No, I'm agree with you. I agree with you on that.
When we say we know more about space than the ocean, I think that's such horse shit. I do.
It's just one of those phrases that's supposed to like blow your mind.
Yeah, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. No, that's not true. An apple a day does not keep the doctor away.
Bird shit on your car is not lucky.
No, they're just these things that you always tell the truth when you're drunk. Nope, I actually lie when I'm drunk.
I'm not drunk.
Yeah, it's just these things you're ingrained to believe to think that it's not real.
Yeah.
Nuclear war. Do we talk about that?
Yeah, that's a big issue.
I mean, that's the most realistic one.
Collectively, scientists think, and this could be off a percentage point or two, 10% chance that we're going to have a nuclear war.
I have no idea how that statistical analysis.
It's ridiculous.
I mean, I study statistics.
It's another one.
We study statistics on a deep level in my school program, but how you come up with that statistical fact, it's got to be, you could poke so much holes in it because all it takes is one person.
You're right.
It just takes one crazy person. It takes Kim Jong-un or some terrorist to get, something from, one of these rogue governments or Iran to bomb what's it called, Israel, and then all bets are off,
You ever seen Dr. Strangelove, that movie?
I don't think
That's
so.
what it's about, is they accidentally fire a nuclear war, and they call America. They're like, sorry, we just launched it. We can't stop it. And they have to deal with it.
It's kind of like an old movie, Failsafe, where the United States during the Cold War accidentally dropped a bomb on Moscow, and it was getting ready to start a nuclear holocaust. And the president of the United States, basically, spoiler alert, basically called and said, hey, that was an accident. It was a glitch in our system. And Moscow's like, dude, you just nuked the Moscow. Like, we don't. And the president, the only way that he could avert a nuclear holocaust and basically the end of the world, and to prove it to the Russians, is he had American pilots drop a nuclear bomb on New York City while his wife and child were there.
What movie is
I think
this?
I've heard
It's called
of this.
Failsafe.
It's very similar to the premise of Dr. Strangelove as well.
Yeah. It's crazy. But, just real quick, one of the things I thought about is talking about Black Mirror, and I think that these authors and creators and people in that kind of industry really pay a service or provide a service to humanity. And I think I maybe brought this up as well. I took this random class I thought was going to be horrible in undergrad for literature, where we studied Ray Bradbury and Kurt Vonnegut, and we talked about a book that we were probably always all had to read in school.
Fahrenheit
451, the temperature at which paper or books burn. And during an interview, he goes, the guy that was interviewing Ray Bradbury is like, well, are you trying to predict the future when you write these books? And his answer still stays with me today. And his answer was, nope, I'm trying to prevent it.
Yeah.
So things like Black Mirror is like, they're kind of cautionary tales, and it really is a good exercise for us to think about things and how things might potentially impact.
Well, that's why I've always liked satire, because I find them to be very satirical, that they are saying that this is what we look like if you step back and look at people kind.
From people kind. I love it. That's the new weird and whatever.
I'm gonna say it every time now.
People kind. I love it. Okay, what else we got here? We got artificial intelligence ranked as number 5. There are some people that really do believe when aliens do come, and they're coming, y'all, that they're not going to be so kind and peaceful. They're not going to be E.T. Denny's, aliens, are they peaceful or are they dicks?
So I would be more on the theory that aliens have visited a few times, different types of aliens from different places that have come in contact with our planet over the billions of years we've existed.
That's what you truly believe?
Yes.
I 100% believe that too.
So it's very tough for me to say, like, the next round is just going to be a bunch of dickhead aliens. I just find that hard to believe. If anything, anyone who makes it this far and stuff, I doubt they're on like this rampage.
It's almost kind of like humanity, where there's some great people that are peaceful and there's some dirtbags out there that are violent.
If they're truly intelligent and smart and have the capacity to make it outside their planet, then they probably are in the same type of thing we are. There has to be life out there. We want to find life. We're not going to go eradicate it.
Yeah, I really believe with all my heart that we've been visited for years and years. We're talking thousands of years, in my opinion.
Well, I've often battled with the theory that humans themselves, we could be aliens on this planet. Because if you look at, and I don't want to get too crazy on you,
get crazy, man. Get loco.
If you look at it, all the other planets exist in synergy. I mean, you know, an animal dies, its body's there, the vultures eat it, what's left, the ants eat, the bones go into the ground rebuilds, another creature eats that plant, poops out their seeds, that plant regrows. Like, it's this whole system that all relies on itself. They all handshake each other to make everything coexist properly. The only element that doesn't fit in that category is humans.
Yeah, that's totally right.
And at the end of the day, it's all about poop. It really is. When you break it down,
it's all about poop.
How bizarre is that? We need poop.
But how ingenious is that the one thing that we expel is good for the planet, that it actually goes right back into the ground, and it is the nitrates it is needed in order for that plant to grow. Literally a seed.
It's bizarre.
Sprouts. Yeah. Organic life is the hardest thing to wrap your head around. It literally is a self-rebuilding organism.
That's crazy.
It's crazy.
Beckett, you being the skeptic, have aliens visited Earth on several different occasions?
I really believe that life is out there. Like we've talked about this before. I think that I would bet anything. I'd bet my life on that.
That they're out there.
That they're out there.
But they haven't visited Earth.
I'm a lot more skeptical about them being here before.
We're gonna do a quick little exercise.
Okay.
Really quick. You're gonna go head to head with Denny's.
Okay.
Denny's is gonna take his argument. He's got 30 seconds to tell you why aliens, without a doubt, have made it to Earth, and you're gonna tell him in your 30 seconds why they have not.
Okay.
All right, Denny's, you go first.
Aliens have made it to Earth because if they were intelligent just like us, we have this curiosity to go out into the universe, which is vast, and we've established it's vast. So obviously we want to go around, and ultimately the goal of every people kind is to spread our seed, to reproduce. So why not go to other planets and continue reproducing? Because eventually Earth is going to be completely used up, and that's our fault as people kind, tearing it up. So I think aliens are good. I needed to fill 3 more seconds there.
That was good.
I loved it, Denny's. All right, Beckett.
Do I get a timer?
Yeah.
You get a timer. Oh, you got a timer and a buzzer and everything.
All right.
And go.
So I'm actually going to take Denny's points and use them because I agree with most of them. And what I agree with is that I definitely think that there's alien life out there. Definitely think that they have the desire and the curiosity to travel. And like we all agree on sitting here, that the universe is that vast. I think that they are traveling to other planets, and they have traveled to other solar systems and other stars and other things like that. I just haven't seen the proof, evidence that's solid enough to make me believe that they've been to our Earth yet.
All right, Suits, you're running KVJ TV today. You heard Denny's argument. You heard Ryan Beckett's argument. Who wins the debate? Denny!
Oh, wow!
There might be some home cooking.
I think there's a little bias in there.
He knows the loyalty.
Yeah, he does.
He knows what, Denny has a bitch slap suit.
He's got to sit by me every day.
I love it.
I thought they were both good.
We were supposed to do a debate with Vicky today, too. Just real quick, just to finish up this article, the list, disease and plague was after artificial intelligence. No, I'm sorry. It went aliens, then it went artificial intelligence, meaning AI, the robots and all that stuff. Disease and plague. Synthetic biology. I actually don't know. What does that mean? Synthetic biology.
Artificial life? I mean, that's basically what that means.
Yeah, so
right.
maybe not artificial intelligence, but artificial life.
What was weird was pollution and climate change was way low on that list.
It just takes so long.
Yes, I think that people can adapt. Like, say the oceans rise, and the United States is basically Kansas now because everything rises and it's really hot. Like, we would do stuff like we were planning to live on Mars. Like we would live in like biodomes, which would suck. But I think that over a long period of time, and it would be slow coming, that humans would unfortunately would eventually, it would suck, but they would adapt. I think that in all of those things that you said, I'd be curious what you guys think. In my opinion, the two biggest things that are imminent on the other side of the spectrum would be nuclear, because I think that could happen at any time, and contagion.
Like a disease breaks out.
A contagion like's happened in the history of, animals on this planet, happened with humans a few times, and it's just beyond, like with Ebola and like things like that, where the CDC tries to like crowd control and not freak people out, but CDC was pretty freaked out about Ebola.
Do you guys remember the hype around the bird flu?
Oh, yeah.
Oprah was reporting on it. She did a whole segment. I'm like, oh shit, Oprah's reporting. She's doing it on her show.
Right.
Bird flu is here to take us out. And just like that, it flew away like a bird. Gone. Never heard of it again.
Yeah, yeah. And I liken it to, like, and we talked about this as well, when a hurricane's coming, and you have these people like, I'm not getting out of here. Like, they're,
that's what I say.
Yeah.
I'm not leaving.
I'm not leaving. It's fine. And
I'm
like,
hunkering down.
This is, it never hits us, blah, blah, blah. Well, it's always better to be on the conservative side. Just because the hurricane wobbles in the last minute because we had some cold front that came in, all of those people that stayed, they're like, see, I was right.
Yeah.
Like, no, you weren't right. It was good that we were careful, God forbid. And my bridge is that I think that when there's a contagion, there's no reason to not overly go after that, right? Like, to not overly quarantine it, to be freaked out about it, to like tell people we need to really put tax money into fixing this so we don't all die.
Absolutely, and those have been coming around ever since the beginning of man.
Totally.
Plagues and such.
You have two options, Denny's. You have to give this contagious whatever disease just to me, or to random 10 people. Who do you do it to?
A random 10 people or a bird.
Yeah, whoever gets it, they die.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
that sucks.
it's a long time. It's a tough 6 months.
Oh, that's terrible. I'd probably give it to the 10 people just because they're random. I gotta see you all the time. You're gonna be like, thanks, Denny's, for this contagion.
You just want to break my heart as well.
Yeah, I don't want to hurt
my birthday's tomorrow.
So
wow.
Yeah, it is his birthday tomorrow.
I actually hate my birthday, and I'm kind of mad I brought it up. We've been talking about it too much on the KVJ show.
No big plans?
Oh yeah. I feel kind of bad because Denny's was kind of inviting some people, and I invited some people. I was just gonna go to one of my favorite areas in Lake Park. They have a brewery out there.
Oh, cool.
My buddy owns his own toy shop, a vintage toy shop, Kelsey Vintage Toy Shop. It's awesome. They usually have like a block party out there.
That's a cool idea.
And if anyone wants to come out there, just show up and say hello. It's not going to be this rager for me personally. I'm going to see some friends I haven't seen in a long time, and I'm just inviting people to come out there. So if you would like to go,
cool. That's tomorrow night.
No, it'll be on Saturday night.
Saturday night. Okay.
They have a all day block party thing. I think I'm going to be out there at 7, and I'm going to be out there till like midnight probably.
I'll be hanging too.
Yeah,
nice. Come by, have a beer.
Yeah, come on out. I love it. That goes for anybody out there. If you want to come on out there, it's not a radio event. It's nothing like that. So
yeah, it's literally just
hanging out.
Yeah, hangout sesh.
Cool. Yeah, so but everyone's invited.
So I was gonna throw this on since you were talking about contagions. Random fact: half of all humans who have ever lived have died from malaria from mosquitoes.
Wow.
So that's pretty scary, right? Malaria is one of those ones that just they can't seem to stop.
I always get freaked out when I'll smack a mosquito off of me and I'll hit it, and then I look down and there's blood on there, and I'm like, is that my blood?
Yeah.
That's a good question.
Is that someone else's blood? Because there was always that. I remember being a kid, there was that rumor you can get HIV from a mosquito.
Right.
I don't know if that's true or not.
Yeah,
I don't think it is
either.
true. I don't think it is true. I think you'd hear about that a lot.
Yeah. What's worse, though, with the mosquito, in terms of it being your blood or someone else's?
Oh, it's worse if it's someone else's blood.
Really?
My blood, I don't give a shit. It's my blood.
But that means he stuck you.
Oh, I'm already assumed it stuck me. Yeah, if a mosquito's on you, she's probably stuck you.
He's getting it. You ever see those other? They must be male ones, right? The ones that are like massive. Those things are huge. They're the size of my hand.
What's the creepiest bug? What would you rather wake up? It's laying on your face. Would it rather be a roach gnawing on you? Do
roaches gnaw?
Oh yes, roaches absolutely can gnaw.
You can hear it too.
We just talked about how there was somebody had a roach in their ear.
Oh, if you didn't hear this story.
And roaches can't walk backwards, so if they go in your ear, they're just going to keep on walking, and they like to eat wax. They don't know it's not food.
Oh yeah.
They'll eat anything.
And roaches have been around since dinosaurs, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy, and they survive everything.
They say that. They say roaches can survive anything.
Well, what it is, they're brood. They're young. They give birth to so many that when say we're in nuclear war and they'll adapt to it 3 or 4 generations later.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Just because they give so much birth.
Another little thing about roaches has always freaked me out. They breathe through their back.
Yeah, right here.
It's so
Vents in the
awful.
I think you're talking me into roaches. Yeah, because the roach thing, you know, if people aren't in Florida, they may not have experienced this, but like those flying palmetto bugs.
Horrifying, terrible.
Those things are probably what I would say is the worst. One time I woke up, I was at my dad's house, I was in middle school, and I you know, when you wake up and you feel like you had a dream about something crawling on you and it turns out to be real.
Yes.
I hate that.
Oh, yeah.
I woke up and there was a cockroach crawling on me. I got out of my bed and did the heebie-jeebie dance and was whoa, had a shower.
Oh man, when I was a kid, we were going to Pennsylvania, and 7 people traveled in my family in a Chevette. I mean, I don't know if you know what a Chevette is. It's so small.
Yeah.
Not very safe, by the way. We stayed at the shittiest motel. And I remember we were laying in the bed, and my sister feels something on her arm, and she flinched. It was a roach on her arm.
Oh.
And I'm not kidding you, 10 seconds later, she felt something on her other arm. It was a different roach on her left arm. It was a shithole.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I woke up in Colorado once. I was sleeping on the floor, and I felt something scratching me. And I looked, and there was nothing. So I turned on my side and went back to bed. And then I woke up because I felt something scratching me. It was a centipede, this long.
Oh.
Dude, one of those ones that has 1,000 legs. They're black. I threw it into the wall.
Well, some of those are poisonous.
I couldn't even go back to bed. It was one of those nights.
That's terrible. So would you rather have one of those centipedes? Would you rather have a roach or a maggot on your face waking up?
I think I would go with the maggot, as gross as maggots are.
Maggots are so gnarly, man.
Yeah.
They're pretty gnarly. If you forget to take
It's just going to become a fly, though.
Yeah, I guess you're right. What's weird is I feel like, because we have a trash can outside our apartment, we throw all our trash in and then we wheel it out at once. There's even though it's sealed and tight and everything, maggots will come out of the trash. It's either they're already there and we're just eating them before they actually become maggots.
That's crazy. That's a weird thought. Yeah, that's a good question.
I've seen it happen and I can't figure it out.
Yes, are maggots there and we don't know that they're there and then they grow?
I think they are.
Someone in the science field will know that answer.
But I think they are, if I had to guess.
And they're benign because they haven't developed
yet. They haven't become anything.
And we're just eating maggot eggs because screw it, they're maggot. We don't even know it.
I think that's real.
Gosh, that's a horrible theory, Denny.
Pretty disappointing.
I think that sounds like it's right, though.
I think it is because I've seen it.
Okay, well, we are going to be doing our audio segment. This is our new thing here on the Weird and Whatever podcast. Everyone brings in a clip or a piece of audio they think is weird or whatever.
Yeah.
So let's lead it off with what's easier for you, Denny's.
I got Beckett up right here.
Bring it on. What do you got?
I got to set it up. So we've been talking about, it was actually very apropos because you're talking about end of the world, and we brought it up a handful of podcasts about Elon Musk saying that AI is, in his opinion, the biggest existential threat to mankind, peoplekind, and and what I found interesting in this clip that I'm getting ready, Denise is going to share, is that it's always good for people to have analogies or have concrete examples for people to wrap their arms around it. It's one thing to say Elon Musk, the smart guy, to say this. It's another thing to watch Rise of the Machines, Terminator, and see Arnold Schwarzenegger, and kind of like Black Mirror, that's a far way away off, or Black Mirror is closer. So when it's further away, and Terminator's that's not going to happen for another 200 years. So what this clip does is he sets up. He goes, he hedged himself. He gave a disclaimer. He goes, by the way, I do not believe that this was the case or this happened, because he's going to give reference to a real life news event. He goes, but let me give you an example of how AI could have played a role in that situation and why it could be a big problem. So this was on a panel.
There was that second Malaysian airliner that was shut down on the Ukrainian-Russian border. And that really amplified tensions between Russia and the EU in a massive way. Well, like, let's say if you had an AI that was, where the AI's goal was to maximize the value of a portfolio of stocks, one of the ways to maximize value would be to go long on defense, short on consumer, start a war. And then how could it do that? Well, hack into the Malaysian Airlines aircraft routing server, route it over a war zone, then send an anonymous tip that an enemy aircraft is flying overhead right now.
Yeah.
So what that makes, it's less of a sexy story than like Terminator's Arnold Schwarzenegger Rise of the Machines, but it's saying like, okay, you formulate, humans did, artificial intelligence to manage a stock portfolio is what he basically was saying. And then that AI is to form out ways like predictors, what's going on in global climates, geopolitical things. And this AI is supposed to maximize shareholder value, shareholder wealth of this portfolio. How can you do it? Well, you buy in, go long on defense stocks and say what could cause a rise in people buying more ammunition, and you're like something that would cause a friction point or a kindling of a thing, and so they don't actually make the plane go down, but like you said, like they give a tip to some like Russian militia and blah blah blah, and then boom, all of a sudden they've done their goal, because AI doesn't really have emotions to think about it. So they're like, well, that was collateral damage, but we did what we were told to do.
Yeah. Well,
crazy.
That's the way to do it, is you just influence other people's decisions into doing what you want to do. Essentially, it's incept them.
Right.
So, I mean, that's good stuff. Yeah, Elon Musk, I got nothing against him. I think...
that means you do.
I think he just thinks he's douchey because everyone's like, oh, Elon Musk, and he knows how awesome he is. And when someone's that awesome and at that top of the mountain, people are just gonna think you're a dude.
Yeah, for sure.
You think he needs to be like a LeBron James and like have like people who would like if he had some humility?
I think humility is good for every human. I think we all have to feel a little bit of humility. I just think that makes you a more balanced person.
Do you think that maybe he doesn't intentionally, he doesn't intend to be an arrogant dick? But
I don't think he intends
yeah,
to.
but
he's really smart that he lacks emotional intelligence.
Well, I think emotional intelligence is important. I think some people do lack that. I think someone can be super, super smart. They can rattle off any fact. They can fix any kind of math problem you give them. But when it comes to matters of the heart or reading people, they are just off the chart, not very good.
And if you had no context with who that was just speaking, you'd think he's an idiot almost, right? Because the way he talks, he's like kind of bumbling and kind of going through his words. Like he's not very well-spoken guy a lot of times.
Actors in interviews are like that too. You're like, you see him on screen and you're like, this guy speaks well.
He can lead an army of people.
A lot of the times, I mean, like people have to come up with and I mean, you're on a camera too, so you got to make sure you don't say something that's going to offend somebody.
Well, that's just it now. I think
people are really, they choose their words.
I think a lot of time, I mean, I've said things on the air. I mean, I do a lot of misquotes on the air. I say things and I say them wrong and they come out wrong. Not everything, but there'll be certain times where I'm trying to explain myself, like, oh, that sounded either really dirty or that sounded really just not what I was trying to say. And I think some people do get a little, they clamor up a bit because they're like, oh, I don't want to say anything. Everyone's so afraid to get in quotes, trouble with the masses because they've said something. Now, of course, I'm not talking about anything that's racist or anything that's hate speech, because I think we all in this room, we all condemn that and think that's horrible. I'm talking about people who just make a mistake or give an opinion about something, and it may not be a popular opinion, and then the mob wants to take them
take their
down.
job, take their family.
And I get all that yeah, well, when you say something, there's a reaction and you have the right to say it and people have the right to react the way they want to. I just think we're getting in a really weird time where I don't like what you said, so I'm going to try to shut you down, shut everything down. I'm going to call your advertisers, and you are now done because you misbehaved.
Right.
Everyone is going to say something they don't mean to say. Even, have you ever been in a fight before and have said something awful to somebody in the history of your life and then look back and go, that was terrible. I was wrong to have said that. Does that make you a bad person? Does that make you a horrible person? You say something in a fight you didn't mean? No, I think that happens to the majority. I'll get an email from some pure fucker. Oh, I've never said anything mean about it. I think that's part of the human condition and the human, just the journey of being a person. You're going, like you're telling me, Denny's, and if you don't want to talk about it, you don't have to, but when you were real young, you were a bit of a douche. And you had to learn, when you say stuff, sometimes shit's gonna come back down on you.
I didn't realize, like how profound words were, because you're young. You're trying to, mainly your main goal is to impress your peers. I think when you're young, for some reason, that's just like what you want to do. I don't know why, but anyway, so you'll do whatever, and in the moment you think it's funny, and then reflecting, you're like, oh my gosh. But you'll even get mean. Like kids are kind of mean, and it wasn't until I've had some humbling experiences in my life where I felt really bad that I really did come down from that type of personality. Now I'm very much against it. I've literally done a 360 with how I live my life.
Well, wouldn't you hate, for example, let's say you said something terrible when you were 14 years old. You're like, oh, I can't believe you said that. To be judged as a guy in your mid-30s about something you said when you were 14.
Oh, yeah.
I think you have to understand that people grow.
Totally.
People. A lot of times you're ignorant when you're young.
Absolutely.
Because you don't know diddly dick about diddly shit.
Exactly. You don't know. Every year when I was young, I thought I knew everything, and every year I got older, I realized how little I knew. And now I think I know everything. But then 10 years from now, I'm gonna be like, I don't know nothing.
That's not me tearing the ass out of anybody that's young. That sounds weird. See, again, I misspoke. I'm not trying to tear down people who are young that have an opinion about stuff. I'm actually defending you.
Right.
What I'm saying is you say stuff sometimes where you don't mean to say.
Right.
Does that mean you're a horrible person? You should be thrown away. How dare you? No, and that to me is what social media is sometimes.
Yeah.
They like to rip apart people who say things that the masses don't agree with.
And it's all instantaneous.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's no pause or reflection. There's no evidence. There's no research done. It's literally like you see the one trigger word for you, and you're just like, I hate this person.
You're gonna screw up in life, and you're gonna make terrible, terrible mistakes. And the people who don't make grave mistakes or life changing mistakes, you got out. You did it. You did it right.
You made it.
That's not everybody.
For sure.
People are going to make mistakes. All right,
and there's some people that have done. This is kind of a mind blown thing. I've thought about this. Some people have done equally worse things. Like, I'll give a hypothetical example. A lot of people have, unfortunately, drank and then drove.
Yes.
A lot of people have drank and drove and got away with it. There are people that drank and drove, sometimes maybe a lot less than someone that's got away with it a bunch of times.
It could take one time, they could kill somebody.
They kill someone, and then they're in, I mean, the net, it's horrible, blah, 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 but then they go to jail for they did the same thing. You know what I mean?
We talk a lot about, forgiveness, redemption, all that kind of stuff, and it's weird the stuff that people are able to recover from.
Get past.
Like there's some celebrities that have done despicable things, and they got past it. For some reason, the masses did not get on them. And then there's someone that they may have said something a little off color in a press conference, and now they're deemed as the worst person ever.
Yeah.
We're venturing into controversial territory, but I agree that it's weird that we'll forget, like, all of a sudden, like porn, and like the one guy in $1 Million Listing, he did gay porn, and like now he's like the biggest real estate agent in New York City, and I don't have a problem with it, but there was a time where that would have never ever happened, and now he's like totally famous on $1 Million Listing and whatever. But someone like that comedian that was the senator, I forgot his name, he made had a picture where the girl was drunk and passed out, and he made wasn't touching her. What was that guy's name?
Al Franken.
Al
Franken.
Yeah.
So this was going to be controversial.
I'll get
emails. But
I'll get the emails.
Well, I won't even go there. I'm just saying, like, it's crazy. Like, it's interesting what society think, forgives and
deems as condemnable or not.
Yeah, and it changes also throughout time as well.
Absolutely, that's another influence by the internet, just how quick things change.
Yeah.
Real quick, because we have to wrap up, because Kevin's other show is about to start. Denny's, do you have your audio clip?
I was going to play yours here.
No, play yours. Play yours.
Well, so mine is actually kind of more of a story, and I do have the article that I could play, but I could sum it up for you guys here, which is pretty cool. I found this neat thing. So we were talking about plagues earlier, plagues taking out people and whatnot. And in 1518, there was a plague that struck in Germany. The dancing plague of 1518 was a case of dancing mania that occurred in Germany, where people danced without rest for 30 days straight.
There is a world record.
Wow.
That is, yeah. So I found a news clip, but I mean, more or less, I kind of just summed it up, So I mean, I don't know.
Now, to get the game in, let's get your clip.
All right. So
people are they eyeballing us yet?
No, we're not being eyeballed yet.
All right, play your clip.
All right, cool. Here it comes.
Or make uncomfortable noises
Mouth
with your
noises?
chair.
Sounds like porn music.
Yeah, what? Did anybody order a sausage pizza?
You may be familiar with the Black Death, the terrible plague that gripped much of Europe for years starting in 1346 and caused an insane amount of deaths. But did you know that in 1518 there was a very different kind of plague that occurred in Strasbourg, France?
No, I'm just kidding. We actually the only reason why I'm interrupting is we have to get going.
All right, no problem.
Yeah,
but they have.
I did before. I don't want you to think I'm interrupting you because I would love to hear that clip, but we really have to wrap up the podcast. Unfortunately,
I get it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's happened in a couple places. But it's a weird mania that overcomes cities.
I kind of feel like your clip didn't get the just due that it deserved. I'm not gonna even play my clip. I can just feel.
Yeah, Kevin will be walking down.
I just know how it goes in here. So we're sorry we had to cut it short. I apologize, Denny's, that I had to cut you off. I don't like doing that.
It's all good.
Beckett, I wish we could talk longer. Unfortunately, we cannot. But thank you guys for the emails. Thank you guys for listening to the Weird and Whatever podcast. Vicky, we hope that your situation gets better with your family. I'm not sure. I don't want to go into too many details, but we're wishing you great feelings. Is that a good? I don't know.
Best wishes.
Yeah.
Best wishes.
Thoughts and prayers.
Great feelings.
She'll love this message.
Yes, we love you all, and Bigfoot
is real.